he is suffering. We are all suffering on some levels, but that man, we don't know. You don't understand how much he's suffering. And when you understand how to accept people in their suffering, you see that you see their behaviors, and you must say, you know what? I have to accept you. Now, it is your responsibility not to suffer because it's your emotion. This is your emotion. This is your inner self. Man, but we just gotta be bold enough to realize, man, the past is no longer in power. What's up, Keo?
Hey man, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. How about you?
I can't really complain. I've actually been a fan of your TikToks already, so it's kind of
Oh,
a
thank
little
you.
bit of an honor to be up here. So
Thank you.
please forgive me if I stepped into the conversation late, but when you mentioned something about leaving the past where it is, I guess it reminded me of something with my father. I hope you don't mind me running that.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is it to be said about someone where you want to try to be able to see them past these, their grievances, past their mistakes, et cetera, et cetera. But they continuously show you that, because ideally, people like to say, oh, you learn from the past. I guess, please forgive me if the question's obvious. What do
You're
you
fine.
do with that person if they're clearly demonstrating that they have not loosened that own framework for themselves? They still maintain the same ideologies. So, for example, my father was, absentee. He's very, very selfish kind of deal. And he's one of those kind of men who will only try to show up to play quote unquote father when it's clearly convenient for him to look good kind of deal. And I've given him chances like over and over again. And I find that it's near impossible for me not to be upset when I have to engage with him because everything that he does echoes those exact same sentiments, echoes that
Mm,
exact same behavior. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I completely understand. So, for example, my current solution, I don't talk with him. But when you say, leaving these things to the past, he said something similar, something like, oh, you still on that? And my response was like, because of the fact you clearly haven't changed from any of that. What would you say to that?
So there's a story. I'm gonna tell you a story, okay? So just bear with me a
By
bit.
all means.
Okay, good. Thank you. There's a story. The father and the son. The father told his son, "Listen, let's go to dinner." And this is a popular story. I read in a book. The father told his son, let's go to dinner. Meet me downstairs at the hotel. At the hotel's restaurant to go to dinner." And his son said, "Okay, I'll meet you downstairs." So the son went upstairs, changed his clothes, got dressed because it was a nice restaurant, right? Very nice
Hmm.
restaurant. And the son came back downstairs waiting for his father. The father came in the same clothes that he was wearing in his pajamas, hair looking a mess, flip flops on, and everybody's wearing a suit and dressed. And the son is like, "Why are you wearing this? Like, I thought you was gonna get ready because here you are. Now everybody's looking at you." So finally, the son ignored it. They went to sit down. He felt this thing in his mind. He felt this strong sense in his mind, like, man, my father just played me. Like, damn. Like everybody's looking at us. They went to sit down. And as they're sitting down, the son is like kind of quiet, kind of weird, like when like when you have something on your mind, he kind of acting strange. And his
Right,
his father
right.
said his father finally said, "What is going on with you? Why are you upset?" And his son is like, "Dad, because you look at how you look. People are looking at you. People are judging you." And the father said, "Son, why why are you suffering because of me? Why are you suffering? Why are you suffering because of me? Let me suffer my suffer. You don't have to suffer what I'm doing. You ain't got to, they're looking at me. They ain't looking at you. So why are you choosing to suffer?" Now, I said that to say this right here. A lot of times when you start to experience a high level of love, we have to understand this right here. We suffering for what he is doing, right? So you are suffering for what your father is doing. There has to come a point where you have to accept what he is. You have to accept because we don't understand the level of trauma and pain and the stuff that he's experienced that causing him to act and do what he does. So we have to understand that he is suffering. We are all suffering on some levels, but that man, we don't know. You don't understand how much he's suffering. And when you understand how to accept people in their suffering, you see their behaviors, and you must say, you know what? I have to accept you. Now, it is your responsibility not to suffer because it's your emotion. This is your emotion. This is your inner self. This is your energy. So you have to learn how to fix your own self so that you won't suffer for his mistakes. A lot of times we do. A lot of times we suffer because we think that just because he is doing this, I must suffer. If she is doing this, I must suffer. It doesn't matter who or what the person is doing. Sometimes we have to get our own self. And you know what though, brother? To be honest, man, and I know it sounds ridiculous and it sounds cliche and it sounds like I might be just talking. But honestly, you have to work so hard because everybody's placed in your life to teach you a lesson. And sometimes we picked our parents, right? We picked our parents from your frequency that you was in the previous life before you came into this physical world. You chose the frequency of who to come through. It have to be similar frequencies because we attract what we are. We don't only attract what we are on a physical in a physical realm. We attract what we are in a spiritual realm too. So when we come to our parents, it's because we're in the same vibrations. That's how we chose our parents. We didn't say I want Michelle and Obama to be my parents. We said I'm on this frequency, so I must come through this same frequency. And we come through them frequencies for us to teach, for us to learn our lessons. We must learn these lessons. So now you got some things to work on in you. And that's why he is just reflecting you. He's showing you what you got to work on. He's showing you this is what you need to work on. Why are you not accepting me? Why can't you accept me? Why can't you accept me for what I am? Because in real love, in complete love, you accept them for what they are. It's what he is. It is what it is. It is what he is. What he is. And until he's ready to change, and until that's fulfilled in him, even though you are his son, you cannot change it. It's your job to change yourself so that you are not bothered and afflicted by it, because it's his pain. This is his burden to carry. It's not yours. So you have to release your expectation, release your judgment, because judgment is very strong. So release your judgment, release your expectation, release how you view on what he should be. Release that he should be this, he should be there, he should do this, he should say this. Release that, because that's only expectation. And expectation will disappoint you every time. Accept him for who he is and look at yourself grow.
You know, the funny thing is, number one, none of what you're talking about sounds cliche. So I should say that I basically subscribe to the principles of Taoism. So there is a concept of presentness, things of that sort. So all that, and I've already come to terms to accept as to what he is, and I do actually have a clue as to what constitutes what kind of man he is. It's less the expectation. It's less
Yeah.
that because I don't expect anything from him. That's the
Okay.
funny thing. It's more like it's disappointment.
Mm.
It's like the moment I cross that threshold of that acceptance and taking in the fact that, like, well, damn, I'm having a Fresh Prince moment. This man really doesn't want me around, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe years ago it would have bothered me in the way in which you described. You're spot on with basically everything else. However, I got to give you your roses when they're due. But as far as any expectation, it's not. It's not that. It's definitely not that. It's like I'm just disappointed in the thought that he couldn't be honest enough just to be forthright with those things. And it's like, because we're all adults at this point. He's, approaching his 60s. I'm currently, in my 30s, approaching 40s. And the only thing I would have wanted for him to just come out and say, hey, I didn't want any of this. And I would have gladly been like, that's fine, dude. You could have said as much. I'm not so far so judgmental as to not accept that. I guess the only thing I would have hoped is that he just could have chosen to be honest. I guess that's what that is. But aside from
But
that, yeah, yeah, please, please, please.
some people, could only be what they are. You know, we can't rate a fish on how it climbs. We can only rate it on how it swims. And many times we try to have people change their, but that's what he is. That, like I said, people struggle and people suffer, and people are showing you their suffrage, but they're not showing you in words. They can't tell you in words of what they are going through. Have you ever been through something that you can't speak of, but people can see like something is going on?
Depends on the day. Like I'm pretty open about like where I have an entire life story, trust, but
I believe you.
I'm pretty open about where I've come from, but I think if anyone could detect anything out of me, it's probably when I'm usually really annoyed or passionate or angry about something. Anyone can look at me and tell you seem to have a bit of pent up aggression here, buddy. You want to unpack? Like I own that. I 100% own that. So
But
anybody
sometimes
could detect that.
but sometimes you don't even know why is there. Sometimes you don't know why is it. Sometimes these are deep rooted things that we don't understand, and they are in all of us. They are in all of us. Sometimes we react, and when it comes to like my father, I saw him once in my life, but I have learned to. Yeah, I saw my. So that's why I'm telling you from this. That's why I met him once. I met him one time. So I.
Oh, I'm sure you're past that, but I'm so sorry, man. That kind of sucks.
No, but it's a beautiful thing because that's the deal I made with the universe. It had to be the deal that I made with the universe. So this is what it is. So now instead of me suffering for my father's mistakes, and sometimes it's not even mistakes because I don't see it as a mistake. I think it was a beautiful thing that he never come around because it taught me how to control myself. Because remember, this lesson is about how you deal with yourself. It's not really about your father. Remember, I said my first thing is not really about your father. It's about how are you dealing with these things that you are facing. Because we came in this world to be taught certain lessons based on our past lives. What did we lack? Maybe last life you was the father. Maybe you was that terrible father from the last life, and now you coming in here dealing with it to see what
Mm.
the damn karma is. See what I'm saying? So
Question.
that's why
You mentioned karma, so that means that you understand the concept of samsara, correct?
somewhat
Samsara.
explain that word. I don't know what a word means.
So basically, when people describe karmic forces, when people describe, let's say, the idea of reliving the past until you learn it, it basically harkens back to a Hindu philosophy known as samsara. It's the embodiment of the wheel of life, and it's implied and told that until we are able to break out of that wheel and release ourselves from any human
Yeah.
attachment, we continue to suffer within this realm specifically. And
Yes.
until we are able to break out of that, we are never able to ascend to nirvana. That's how
Right.
I understand life. It
Right.
sounds like
Right.
you're like channeling that and understanding that
Yes.
intrinsically, and I like it.
Yes. 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 Um. Yes. So I really this is something that I use to not suffer as much because we don't know what happened. We don't know why it's happening. All we know
Mm.
is that this is me, and I'm the only real thing that exists. Listen. You're not even real. I'm the only real one. And for me, I mean, for you, I'm not real. You're the only real one. So the only real thing is how I
Uh,
perceive, how I feel, what I think, what I. I'm the only real one that exists. Nobody exists but me. So
so
now it's
you
my
so
duty. Mhm.
Oh no, no, I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt it. Please, please.
No, you're fine. I mean, I'm saying it's my duty to feel what I want to feel. And if I'm feeling angry or disappointment or all these things, then you don't exist. My father don't exist. My brother don't exist. I only exist. So therefore, it's me. Remember, this is all about you. You do
Mm.
good because you feel good. You are kind because you feel good. You are ugly to others because you feel ugly. It's all about you. There's no and nobody else exists. So understand your father is in a place where you don't understand because you're on two different places, two different frequencies. You're trying to understand a different frequency that you are not on. You can't understand it. It's not for you to understand. It's for him to deal with.
And there it is.
Acceptance
So
is the
with
key.
So with that being said, first I want to just say to Miss Consciousness, thank you. I get told about the eloquence all the time, but I'm going to start work. I what I'll say before I go, in my own way, I kind of need that affirmation, and you are way more impressive speaking to versus just watching. So I think that needs to be said. And thank you so very
Thank
much
you.
for that.
Man, you seem so intellectual, man. Like you seem we probably should talk more often because you seem like an intellectual.
Yes. Listen, there's so many things I want to learn, there's so many things I want to understand and improve about. It's just my problem is, as I'm sure you understand, you just can't have these conversations with just about anyone,
Anybody.
especially over here in the West. So
Right.
if that is an invite, you will see more of me. But in the meantime, I need to see more of this freaking basement. I'll see you when I see you.
All right, man. You be easy.
Just take
Man.
care.
You too, man. Wow, I love that, man. I love deep conversations. You know what I mean? I love